Hello everyone, it is May 17th, 2021. It's tax day in America. This year, 2021, the federal government moved the tax day from April, gave us an extra month because of post-pandemic lag, I suppose, to get our taxes done. I'll be doing mine today. I've procrastinated it long enough, have to get them done today, or file an extension, or basically potentially pay some penalties. Because I was traveling across the country last year in my solar-powered truck, I didn't make too much money. I was basically almost taking the year off to build the truck and travel across the country to prove that you could take a truck that's electric and charge it on nothing but sunshine from its roof and cross the country doing so, which I did. But I want to talk about solar and the tax credit because that's, I believe, the number one issue that people get confused about. So it is a credit. You don't just get money for going solar. It's 26% of the gross system cost. So if your system cost $20,000, you're due back $5,000 in change. So if you paid into the tax system in 2021, the year you go solar, or let's say you went solar last year, if you paid over $6,000 in taxes last year, yes, you will get back 26% of your solar project's cost. So the $5,000 in change, $5,500 would come back to you in one big check. I actually, on my social media for Awaken Solar, posted a picture of my check. I had a really big system that included batteries and a lot of structural costs. But if you do not pay taxes, if you're retired, or if you just have a very low income or a lot of write-offs, I've seen this time and time again where someone signs up for solar, they're promised, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 in returns, credit for going solar on their taxes, but they didn't pay that much in tax. So let's say you do buy a big solar system, you're due back $8,000 in taxes, but you only pay $4,000. It will take you 2 years to get that back if your next year's tax liability is still around $4,000. If you don't pay anything in taxes, you'll have an $8,000 tax credit just sitting there. It will roll over 5 years, but you won't get it. So you have to pay in to get the tax credit. And it comes back to you as a credit. So if you, let's say you say, well, I normally get a tax return of about $2,000. Maybe you paid in $10,000 and you get back $2,000, meaning they still kept $8,000. So if you go solar, you'll get back more of the $8,000 the government would have kept. It's the best legal way to not pay taxes. That's what I like to tell people. But I do want to talk in detail a little bit right now, get into the weeds. So you have to pay taxes to get your tax credit back. Know what your tax liability is before you go solar. And it used to be line 63 on your 1040. It would say how much total tax you paid. And so you could really get a good idea if you could get it all back in 1 year, or if that number was 0, which I saw more times than you would think for people who just paid no tax. They had a lot of write-offs, maybe a lot of kids, and they didn't make that much money, or they were retired. It's really tough for them to have a return going solar because that 26% of the gross system cost, it's going to be really hard for them to get that back. Now, maybe they're going to sell something, and I've had people do that. Well, I'm selling my rental house this year, or I already sold it. Towards the end of the year, we do have a lot of people going solar that know they have a lot of taxes that they've paid or they're going to owe, and so solar is a really great way for them to get a huge write-off, a huge credit on their taxes. So Form 5695, that's the individual form, and you can look up the instructions. I'm going to quote them right now. It says, qualified solar electric property costs. Qualified solar electric property costs are costs for property that uses solar energy to generate electricity for use in your home located in the United States. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? And that section pretty well is. The second line is the line that's very confusing, and it's been there for years, and I wish they would reword it. No costs relating to a solar panel or other property installed as a roof, in parentheses, or portion thereof, will fail to qualify solely because the property constitutes a structural component of the structure on which it is installed. Now, to stop reading, that's a very confusing line. Basically, what it's saying is that your cost related to the solar project qualifies, right? Will fail to their wording will fail to qualify solely because the property constitutes a structural component of the structure on which it is installed. What that's trying to do, I think, I'm not a tax professional, this is not tax advice, but it's just reading the instructions and trying to understand them. The way I've always explained that is when we build a ground mount solar system, a solar system where we have to put concrete in and metal and a lot of equipment, basically extra equipment to hold the solar panels, that whole structural system that's holding the solar panels is part of a qualified electric cost. So all of the labor, all of the electrical wire that we do if we dig a trench, that qualifies for the solar costs. You don't exclude those parts simply because they're not the solar panels. It's what's holding the solar panels. Now, in the industry, it's very common as well to hear a company tell you, if you're doing building a carport or adding a new roof, that you can include the whole project costs. So you do a $20,000 solar system, a $15,000 roof, $35,000 is the total amount. You can get 26% off. It used to be 30%. Well, let me go on reading, because they added this line, or a couple lines. Back to Form 5695, the instructions, under qualified solar electric property cost. Some solar roofing tiles and solar roofing shingles serve the function of both traditional roofing and solar electric collectors, and thus serve functions of both solar electric generation and structural support. These solar roofing tiles and solar roofing shingles can qualify for the credit. This is in contrast to structural components, such as a roof's decking or rafters, that serve only a roofing or structural function and thus do not qualify for the credit. The home doesn't have to be your main home. End paragraph for qualified solar electric property costs. So if you caught that, they added a section about roofing tiles and shingles and solar and qualified electric. So this is in contrast to structural components such as a roof's decking or rafters, which is what traditionally has been included when you do solar. Your roof is really old. Well, I'd love to do solar, Josh, but I need a new roof. Guess what? You can take part of your roofing costs, and if you do solar and you need to upgrade your roof to do solar, you can include part of that as qualified project cost to get 26% back from. So that line, this is in contrast to structural components such as a roof's decking or rafters that serve only a roofing or structural function. What that means is if you have rafters where there's no solar, they would not qualify. The rafters that are now the structural components that are required for the solar do qualify because they are required for the solar. So you redo or redesign a roof or a deck, or you build a ground mount system, anything you build to attach solar panels to that's required, and structural components, the electrical components, everything that we need to have a solar property, to have a solar project, the property improvement that's required for that solar does qualify. So that's the line that's really, really particular. It's that serve only a roofing or structural function and thus do not qualify for the credit. So again, the section of your roof, if you're doing the whole roof that has solar on it, that qualifies. Let's say the north side of your roof does not qualify. So I hope that clears that up. Have fun. Have a great tax day out there, everybody. Sorry this was a little long-winded and we got into the weeds, but I hope that people see this video and know exactly how the solar tax credit works. The investment tax credit from the federal government, it's straight across the board for the entire United States, 26% of qualified solar electric property costs. And on Form 5695, it defines that. You can include extra project costs that are required for your solar system. And if you want to look at going solar and want to learn more, please visit awakensolar.com.